He called me uneducated, said people like me were born to serve. What he didn't know, I understood every word of his phone calls, every language, every crime he discussed while sitting in my back seat. He kept coming back, same time, same route, making the same illegal calls. And every time, I stayed quiet, just drove, just listened, just remembered. Until the night I decided I was done being silent. What happened next destroyed his empire, sent him to prison, and changed my life forever. But before we go further, I need you to do something. Drop a comment right now and tell me where you're watching from, your city, your country. I want to know how far this story reaches, because what I'm about to tell you is going to show you that the person you underestimate the most might be the one who takes everything from you. My name's Kellen. I'm 34, and I drive for Uber in New York City, the overnight shift, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Most nights, nothing happens. People get in, people get out, I collect my fare and move on. But some passengers, they come back, same time, same route, week after week. And if you're paying attention, if you're really listening, you learn things about them, things they don't want anyone to know. Let me back up. Because to understand why I did what I did, you need to know who I used to be. 10 years ago, I was an analyst at Davidson Partners, hedge fund, mid-sized but aggressive. I started fresh out of grad school and worked my way up. The hours were brutal, 80, 90-hour weeks, but I was good at it, really good. My edge was languages. See, my dad worked for an oil company, so we moved constantly when I was growing up. Beijing at 9, Mumbai at 12, Dubai at 15. By high school graduation, I spoke Mandarin, Hindi, and Arabic fluently, added Spanish in college. In international finance, that made me invaluable. No translators needed, no miscommunication. I could jump on calls with Shanghai, Mumbai, Riyadh, Sao Paulo, all in the same day. I loved the work, the analysis, finding patterns nobody else saw. It felt like I was made for it. Then I found something I wasn't supposed to find. 2 years ago, I was reviewing trading data for a partner fund, routine analysis, but the patterns were off. Trades happening seconds before major announcements, positions that seemed impossibly well-timed. I dug deeper, cross-referenced dates, and there it was, clear as day, insider trading. I did what I was supposed to do. Filed a report with compliance, showed my boss the evidence, the data, the patterns. He thanked me, said they'd handle it, said I did the right thing. 3 weeks later, HR called me in. Performance issues, not a cultural fit. Your position's been eliminated. 10 years, gone. I tried to fight, hired a lawyer, but the firm had resources I didn't. Better attorneys, deeper pockets, nothing in writing, nothing traceable. Just a severance check and a strong suggestion that I find work elsewhere. The severance lasted 4 months. I sent out resumes, reached out to every contact I had. But word travels fast in finance. Nobody wants the guy who caused problems. Doesn't matter if you were right. You're difficult, not a team player, a risk. The interview stopped, then the callbacks, then the responses entirely. My fiancée left around month 5, Emma. 3 years together. She said she loved me, but couldn't marry someone without prospects. I don't blame her. She wanted stability. I had none to offer. Month 6, my bank account hit 0. That's when I started driving. Not as some grand statement, not as a temporary thing until something better came along. 'Cause I needed to eat, needed to keep the lights on in the studio apartment in Queens that replaced my 1-bedroom in Manhattan. The first night I turned on the app, I sat in my car for 20 minutes before accepting a ride. This wasn't supposed to be my life. 2 degrees, 10 years of experience, 6 languages, and I was about to drive a stranger to the airport for $18. But I did it. Then I did it again and again. 2 years now. Thousands of rides, thousands of passengers looking right through me like I'm not even there. And I told myself I had accepted it, that I'd moved on. I was lying to myself. It was a Friday night, just after midnight. I'd been driving for 2 hours when the ping came through. Mandarin Oriental, hotel, Midtown. I pulled up. The doorman opened the rear door. A man slid into the back seat without looking at me. Expensive suit, custom tailored, Patek Philippe watch catching the light. He was already on his phone.
I glanced at the destination. Tribeca, 12 minutes. "Good evening," I said. No response. He was talking. Business, market positions, equity stakes, the language of money. I started driving, focused on the road. Another passenger, another fare. Nothing special. Then he switched to Mandarin. Fluid, natural, good accent. He'd spent time in China, years probably, and I understood every word. He was talking to someone in Hong Kong, an investor, discussing a biotech company, clinical trial results, FDA approval timeline. Then he said something that made my hands tighten on the wheel. The results were coming back positive. The drug was getting approved. He was certain. His source was reliable, and he was buying massive positions before the announcement went public. Classic insider trading. I kept my face neutral, eyes on the road, just another driver, just furniture. But my heart was racing because I knew exactly what I was hearing. I'd seen this before. I'd reported this before, and it had destroyed my life. We arrived at his building. He got out without a word. No tip. Didn't even close the door all the way. I sat there for a moment. Then I drove away. That should have been the end of it. One ride, one overheard conversation. None of my business. But Friday night became Friday night again. Same time, same pickup location, same destination. He was a regular. The second Friday, he got in the same way. No greeting, straight to his phone. This time the call was in English, discussing a merger, confidential information, trades he was planning based on knowledge that wasn't public yet. I said nothing, just drove. The third Friday, he switched to Hindi. He was talking to a tech executive in Bangalore, laughing, joking about golf, then business. The executive's company was about to announce major layoffs, 20% of the workforce. The stock would crash when the news broke. And this man in my back seat was shorting it, betting millions on information nobody else had. Then he said something that made my jaw clench. Still in Hindi, casual, almost throwaway. I'd tip the driver, but why waste money? These people probably can't even count past 20. Uneducated. They're born to serve, they die serving. It's just how the world works. The executive laughed. My knuckles went white on the steering wheel. But I didn't say nothing. Not yet. Fourth Friday, he was back. This time discussing real estate fraud in a mix of English and Arabic, inflating valuations, falsifying documents. I started taking notes after each ride, what he said, what it meant, the legal implications. I told myself I was just being thorough, just observing. But really, I was building a case. Fifth Friday, he got in, and for the first time, he actually looked at me. Not at my face, at my watch. I was wearing my Seiko, nothing fancy, $300 when it was new. I'd had it 8 years. "That's a nice watch," he said. First time he'd spoken directly to me in 5 weeks. Not a compliment. I heard the suspicion in his voice. "For a driver," he added. "Where'd someone like you get something like that?" I kept my voice level. "It was a gift." "From who? Your girlfriend?" He smirked. "She must not know what you're worth if she's wasting money on you." Something in me shifted. That quiet snap when you've been pushed just a little too far. I turned around in my seat, looked him in the eye for the first time. "It was from my employer," I said quietly. "Davidson Partners, 10-year service award." His smirk faded slightly. "I was an analyst there, hedge fund, international finance, worked my way up from entry level, 10 years, 80-hour weeks." He was staring now, actually seeing me. "What happened?" he asked. "I got fired for reporting securities fraud." The air in the car got heavier. "Found insider trading, filed a compliance report. 3 weeks later, they eliminated my position. Industry small, word travels. Nobody would hire me after that. So now I drive." He sat back, processed this. Well, he said slowly, maybe you should have minded your own business. People who can't play the game shouldn't be in it. I held his gaze. Maybe, but here's what's interesting. I still remember how to spot fraud. I still know what insider trading looks like. I still understand the patterns. I paused, let that sink in. Then I switched to Mandarin. Perfect, fluent, native-level pronunciation. Just like that biotech stock trade you discussed 5 weeks ago. His face went pale. I switched to Hindi. I also heard what you said about people like me, that we're uneducated. His mouth opened. No sound came out. 4 languages fluently, I said, back in English. 6 conversationally. Mandarin from Beijing, Hindi from Mumbai, Arabic from Dubai, Spanish from college. Turns out being uneducated means something different than you thought. Complete silence. He was staring at me like furniture had suddenly come to life and started talking back. The phone calls, he finally said, voice barely above a whisper. Every word, I confirmed. 5 weeks, 5 rides, biotech insider trading, tech stock manipulation, real estate fraud. All of it.
He was quiet for a long moment. I watched him calculating, running scenarios. Who are you? He finally asked. I told you. I'm Kellen. I drive for Uber. No, who are you really? SEC plant? FBI? Just a driver who speaks Mandarin and Hindi and who knows fraud when he hears it. His expression hardened. Got aggressive. You're bluffing. And even if you're not, nobody's gonna believe some washed-up analyst driving Uber over me. I'm Drexel Haynes, Haynes Capital Management, worth $3 billion. I have lawyers that cost more per hour than you make in a week. Drexel Haynes, I repeated. I'd seen the name. Financial news, Forbes lists, that's who you are. That's right. So let's be realistic here. You take this anywhere, they'll destroy you. Again, you really want to go through that twice? Maybe they will. But the evidence doesn't care about your net worth. Numbers don't lie. And I've got 5 weeks of you lying. He leaned forward. How much do you want? Excuse me? 100,000. Cash. Tomorrow. You delete everything. We both walk away. I don't want your money. He laughed. Harsh. Bitter. Everyone wants money. That's how the world works. You think you're better than that? No. I just know your money won't fix what's broken. What's that supposed to mean? I turned fully in my seat. Met his eyes. 2 years ago, I reported fraud. Did the right thing. It destroyed my life. I lost everything I'd built because I spoke up against someone powerful, someone just like you. I paused. You asked what I want. I want you to understand something. People like me, the ones you look down on, the ones you call uneducated, the ones you think don't matter because we're just drivers or servers or cleaners, we're not invisible. We're just in a different place than we used to be. Spare me the speech, he said. Some of us are trying to climb back up. Some of us are working 3 jobs to make rent. Some of us are taking care of sick parents. And some of us are just trying to figure out who we are now that everything we thought we were is gone. I leaned forward. But we're all watching. We're all listening. And sometimes we're in a position to do something about what we see. So what are you going to do? His voice had an edge now. Report me? Ruin me? For what? Some moral victory that won't change your life? Maybe it won't change my life. But it might stop you from ruining someone else's. This is business. This is how markets work. No, this is fraud. You just wear a better suit than most criminals. Please. His voice changed. Softer. Almost vulnerable. I have a family. A wife. A daughter. If you do this, if there's an investigation, it destroys them too. They didn't do anything wrong. Neither did the people whose retirement savings you're stealing from. Neither did the workers at that tech company who are about to lose their jobs while you profit from it. He stared at me, and I saw something flicker in his eyes. Not quite fear, not quite guilt, but something. What do you want me to say? He asked quietly. Nothing. I want you to get out of my car. And then what? And then you go upstairs. You go to sleep, and you wonder when the subpoena's coming. You can't do this. I can, and I will. He grabbed the door handle, yanked it, stopped. I'll destroy you, he said, voice cold now. I'll sue you into the ground. I'll make sure you never work anywhere. Not driving, not in finance, nowhere. You think your life is bad now? I'll make it worse. You can't take what I don't have. Someone already took everything from me. You're 2 years too late. If you're still watching, hit that subscribe button.
This story is about to get real. He got out, slammed the door hard enough to rock the car. I watched him walk to his building, watched the doorman greet him, watched him disappear inside. Then I sat there, breathing, hands shaking, not from fear, from adrenaline, from 2 years of silence finally breaking. I picked up my phone, stared at it for a long moment. Then I made a decision. I drove home, didn't call anyone, didn't report anything, just drove home to Queens, climbed the 3 flights to my studio, made coffee, and sat by the window and watched the sun come up. I needed to think, really think, because reporting Drexel meant going through everything again. Lawyers, depositions, my life examined under a microscope, my credibility attacked, and no guarantee anything would come of it.
The SEC might not believe me, might not investigate, might thank me for the tip and do nothing. Or they might investigate and find nothing. Drexel was careful. Rich people usually are. Good lawyers, better accountants. Everything structured to look legal even when it isn't. And if I reported him and nothing happened, I'd just be the guy who cried fraud twice. The troublemaker. The paranoid ex-analyst who couldn't let go. Nobody would ever hire me again for anything. I spent the weekend thinking. Didn't drive, didn't leave my apartment. Just thought. Monday morning I made a decision. I called a lawyer. Not a criminal lawyer, a whistleblower attorney. Morrison and Associates. I'd researched them during my Davidson Partners case. They specialized in SEC complaints. "This is Sarah Park," a woman answered. "My name is Kellen. I need advice about reporting securities fraud." "Tell me what you have." I told her everything. The rides, the recordings, the languages, what Drexel had said. She listened, didn't interrupt. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. "You said recordings. You have actual audio?" 5 weeks worth, time-stamped, geotagged. "In Mandarin and Hindi?" "Yes, I can provide translations." "Mr. Kellen, if what you're telling me is accurate, this is significant, but I need you to understand what you're getting into. Reporting someone like Drexel Haynes, it's not simple. It's going to be ugly, long, expensive, unless you work with us on contingency." "I understand. His lawyers will come after you. They'll try to discredit you. They'll dig into every aspect of your life, your employment history, your finances, your relationships, everything. Let them dig. I've got nothing to hide. The SEC might not act immediately. These investigations take time, months, sometimes years, and there's no guarantee they'll bring charges. I know. So why do this? Why put yourself through it? I thought about that, about Drexel's face when I spoke Mandarin, about the comment he'd made in Hindi, about 2 years of being invisible. "Because I'm tired of staying quiet," I said. "Because someone needs to, and because if I don't, I'll spend the rest of my life knowing I could have and didn't." "All right," she said. "Let's talk about next steps. Can you send me those recordings? Right now? Please. I want to review them. If they're as clear as you say, I'll help you file a formal complaint with the SEC. No charge unless there's a recovery." I sent the files, all of them, 5 weeks of audio. She called back 3 hours later. "Mr. Kellen, I've reviewed the recordings. This is solid, very solid. The Mandarin call alone is damning. Combined with the others, this is a pattern of systematic fraud. So you'll help me file?" "I'll do better than that. I have a contact at the SEC, Enforcement Division. I'm going to reach out directly, get this in front of someone who can actually do something with it." "How long will that take?" "Give me a few days. I'll be in touch." Those few days felt like years. I kept driving, kept picking up passengers, kept my mouth shut about what was happening. Friday came, my regular shift, midnight to 6 a.m. At 12:15, I got a ping. Mandarin Oriental, Tribeca. My stomach dropped. It was him, Drexel Haynes. Same time, same route. I could decline the ride, cancel, claim car trouble, but something made me accept. I pulled up, he got in, looked at me, really looked at me this time. "You didn't report me." I didn't respond. "It's been a week. If you'd reported me, I'd know by now. SEC doesn't waste time on cases like this." "Maybe I'm still deciding." He laughed. "No, you're not going to do it. You're smarter than that. You know what would happen. You'd lose everything again. For nothing." I started driving. "I've been thinking about you, about what you said. And you're right. I shouldn't have said those things about uneducated people, about drivers. It was rude. I glanced at him in the rearview mirror. So I want to make you an offer, a real one. Come work for me. Analyst position. International markets. 6 figures. You'd be good at it. Better than driving. You're offering me a job. I'm offering you your life back. What you had before. What you lost. In exchange for what? For understanding that we all do what we have to do to survive. You need money? I can give you that. I need discretion? You can give me that. Everybody wins. I pulled up to his building, put the car in park, turned around. That's a no. His expression hardened. You're making a mistake. Maybe, but it's my mistake to make. Last chance, Kellen. Take the job, delete the recordings, move on with your life. I've already moved on, just not in the direction you want. He got out, leaned back in before closing the door. You're going to regret this. I've regretted a lot of things in my life. This won't be one of them. He slammed the door. I drove away. The next morning, Sarah Park called. We're ready. My contact at the SEC wants to meet with you. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., Federal Building downtown. They're taking it seriously? Very seriously. Bring everything you have, every recording, every note. Be prepared to answer questions for several hours. I'll be there. The meeting lasted 4 hours. Senior investigator Chen, mid-40s, sharp eyes. He listened to every recording, asked me to translate the Mandarin and Hindi sections word for word, took notes, asked clarifying questions.
You're certain about these translations? Completely certain. And you can testify to that under oath? Yes. He leaned back in his chair. Mr. Kellen, I'm going to be honest with you. We've been looking at Haynes Capital for 6 months. Nothing concrete, just suspicions, red flags and trading patterns, but nothing we could prove. And now? Now we have probable cause. These recordings, if they hold up to scrutiny, are exactly what we needed. What happens next? We open a formal investigation, subpoena his trading records, phone logs, communications. We'll need you to sit for a deposition, maybe testify before a grand jury if it goes that far. I'm ready. Are you? Because his lawyers are going to come after you, hard. They'll try to make you look like a disgruntled ex-employee with an axe to grind. Let 'em try. Chen studied me for a moment. Why are you doing this? You could have just deleted the recordings, moved on. Nobody would have known. I would have known. He nodded slowly. Fair enough. Give me your contact information. We'll be in touch within the week. I left the Federal Building feeling lighter somehow, like I'd been carrying something heavy for 2 years and finally put it down. 3 weeks went by. Nothing. No calls, no updates. I started to wonder if they decided not to pursue it, if Drexel's lawyers had already shut it down somehow. Then the news broke. I was in my car, between rides, scrolling through my phone, and there it was. Federal investigators execute search warrants at Haynes Capital Management. I clicked the article, read it twice. FBI and SEC agents had raided 3 locations, Haynes Capital's offices, Drexel's home in Tribeca, a storage facility in New Jersey. They'd seized computers, documents, trading records. The article mentioned an ongoing investigation into securities fraud and insider trading. Multiple targets, Drexel Haynes among them. My hands were shaking. This was real. This was happening. My phone rang. Chen, did you see the news? I'm reading it right now. We moved faster than expected. The recordings you provided gave us enough for warrants. We hit them this morning, found everything we needed and more. So now what? Now we build the case. It'll take months, but Kellen, I need you to understand something. This is going to get public. Your involvement, the recordings, all of it. His lawyers are going to know who you are. I'm prepared for that. I hope so, because it's going to get ugly. He was right. 2 days later, my name appeared in an article. Uber driver who reported fraud. My photo, my background, Davidson Partners, everything. Drexel's legal team released a statement calling me unreliable, pointing to my termination from Davidson Partners, suggesting I was fabricating evidence for money. It hurt, I won't lie about that. But I kept my head down, kept driving, kept telling myself this was worth it. Sarah Park called regularly, keeping me updated. The SEC was building a comprehensive case. They'd found evidence of fraud going back 7 years, dozens of illegal trades, millions in illicit profits. And it wasn't just Drexel.
3 of his executives were involved, 2 board members, a network of insider information spanning multiple companies. My recordings had cracked it open. 4 months after the raid, the grand jury convened. I testified for 6 hours, walked them through every recording, every translation, every detail. 2 weeks later, they returned indictments. Drexel Haynes, 14 counts, securities fraud, wire fraud, conspiracy, market manipulation. His executives got hit too. 37 counts total across 6 defendants. The trial was set for 8 months out. During that time, I tried to rebuild my life. Morrison and Associates offered me a job, investigator, using my language skills to help build fraud cases. The pay was decent, not what I used to make, but enough. I took it, started 2 weeks later. The work felt good, meaningful, like I was using what I knew to actually help people, instead of just making rich people richer. I still drove sometimes, Friday nights, not because I needed to, because I'd met interesting people in that car, heard interesting stories, and because it reminded me where I'd been, what I'd survived. The trial started on a Tuesday in October. Federal courthouse, downtown Manhattan, media everywhere, cameras, reporters, the whole circus. I testified on day 5, took the stand, swore to tell the truth. Drexel's lawyer cross-examined me for 4 hours, tried to paint me as bitter, vindictive, a failed analyst who couldn't accept his own failure. Isn't it true you were fired for performance issues? That's what they claimed, yes. And you sued your former employer? I consulted with a lawyer for wrongful termination. I didn't file suit. Because you didn't have a case? Because I couldn't afford to fight a hedge fund in court. Isn't it possible you're doing this for money? The SEC whistleblower program offers substantial rewards. If I wanted money, I would have taken Mr. Haynes' offer. What offer? When he tried to bribe me, $100,000 to delete the recordings, I said no. The lawyer paused. Hadn't expected that. He also offered me a job, 6 figures, analyst position, in exchange for my silence. I said no to that too. Why? Because some things matter more than money. The prosecution played the recordings, all of them, the Mandarin calls, the Hindi calls, my translations displayed on screens for the jury.
You could see their faces change. The shock, the understanding. This wasn't some complicated financial scheme they couldn't follow. This was clear. This was obvious. This was a man discussing crimes and assuming nobody would understand him. The defense tried to argue translation errors, brought in their own Mandarin expert, but the recordings were too clear, the context too obvious. The jury deliberated for 3 days. Guilty on 12 of 14 counts. Drexel Haynes was sentenced 4 months later, 11 years in federal prison, $240 million in fines and restitution. His executives got sentences ranging from 4 to 8 years. Haynes' capital management collapsed within weeks. Investors pulled their money. The firm dissolved. I watched it all from a distance, read the articles, saw the headlines, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Not satisfaction, not revenge, just closure. Like something that had been broken was finally fixed. Not perfectly, not completely, but enough. 6 months after the sentencing, I got a check in the mail. Securities and Exchange Commission, Whistleblower Award Program, $192,000. I stared at it for a long time. It was more money than I'd made in 2 years of driving combined. Not millions, not enough to retire, but enough. Enough to breathe, enough to have options, enough to not worry about rent for a while. I deposited it, paid off every debt I had, credit cards, student loans, everything. Then I sat down and figured out what I wanted to do with what was left. I could have saved it, invested it, used it to rebuild the life I'd lost, but that didn't feel right. Instead, I started something new, a small nonprofit, helping other whistleblowers, people who'd been fired for doing the right thing, who'd been blacklisted, who needed support and resources and someone who understood. Because I'd been there. I knew what it felt like to lose everything for telling the truth, and I knew what it felt like to wonder if anyone would believe you, if speaking up would matter, if the cost was worth it. I couldn't give them back what they'd lost, but I could give them what I wished I'd had, a community, resources, someone to say you did the right thing and it matters, and you're not alone. The nonprofit is small. We don't have much funding. We can't help everyone, but we helped some. Last month, the teacher called. She'd reported grade fixing at her school. Administration wanted to boost test scores, make the school look better. She refused to participate, reported it to the district, got fired for creating a hostile work environment. She was scared, didn't know what to do, thought maybe she'd made a mistake. I told her my story, told her she wasn't alone, told her that doing the right thing doesn't always feel right in the moment, but that doesn't make it wrong. We connected her with lawyers, helped her file a complaint with the state education board, got her some financial support while the case was pending. 2 weeks ago, the school district settled, admitted to the grade manipulation, agreed to policy changes, reinstated her with back pay. She called me crying, saying thank you, saying she'd almost given up. That's why I do this now. Not for money, not for recognition, but because I know what it feels like to be where she was, where I was, alone, scared, questioning everything. And I know what difference it makes to have someone believe you. I still think about that night sometimes, the 5th Friday, when Drexel noticed my watch, when I finally spoke up. I think about how easy it would have been to stay quiet, to just keep driving, to let him get away with it. And I'm glad I didn't. Not because it was easy. It wasn't. The investigation was hard. The trial was brutal. Having my life examined and attacked and questioned, that was painful. But it was worth it. Because I can look at myself in the mirror now and recognize the person looking back. Someone who speaks up, someone who fights, someone who refuses to stay invisible just because it's easier. That's who I am now. And I like that person a lot more than the one who stayed silent. I still drive occasionally. Not every night, not for the money, but sometimes, late on a Friday, I'll turn on the app, take a few rides, listen to the city. People still talk in cars, still say things they think nobody understands, still treat drivers like we're invisible. And sometimes I hear things, conversations that raise red flags, situations that don't sound right. I don't go looking for trouble, but I pay attention now. And when something seems wrong, I remember that I have options, that silence isn't my only choice. Last month, I picked up a passenger who spent the whole ride screaming at someone on the phone, his employee, calling her stupid, incompetent, threatening to fire her if she didn't work through the weekend without pay. When we arrived, I looked at him in the rearview mirror.
Labor laws require overtime pay for hourly employees working weekends, I said quietly. And verbal abuse in the workplace is actionable. She should document everything you just said. He stared at me, shocked that I'd spoken, that I'd heard, that I understood. Mind your own business, he said. I am. My business is remembering that everyone matters, even the people you think don't. He got out, slammed the door. I don't know if he changed. Probably not. But I said something. I didn't stay quiet. That's the difference now. I don't let things slide. Don't pretend I don't see. Don't make myself small to make other people comfortable. I've learned something important over the past 2 years, something I wish I'd known earlier. Your voice matters, even when you think nobody's listening, even when it feels safer to stay quiet, even when speaking up costs you something. It matters. Not because it always changes things, not because you always win, but because silence only helps the wrong people. When good people stay quiet, bad people get louder. When honest people hide, dishonest people thrive. When someone sees something wrong and says nothing, they're not protecting themselves. They're protecting the problem. I stayed quiet for 2 years, told myself I was being smart, being safe, being realistic. I was just being scared. And fear is exactly what people like Drexel count on. They count on you being too worried about the consequences, too convinced that your voice doesn't matter, too afraid to risk what little you have. And as long as you believe that, they win. Every time. But the moment you speak up, everything changes. Maybe not immediately, maybe not the way you expect, but it changes. Because truth has a way of spreading. One person speaks, and it gives someone else courage, and then someone else. And suddenly, the people who counted on silence don't have it anymore. That's what happened with Drexel. My testimony led to others coming forward, other victims, other witnesses,
People who'd been afraid to speak because they thought they were alone. They weren't alone. They just didn't know it yet. And by the time the trial ended, there were dozens of people who'd been hurt by his schemes, retirement accounts drained, jobs lost, families damaged, all because one man thought the rules didn't apply to him. He was wrong. And now he's in prison. And the people he hurt got some measure of justice. Not perfect justice. Money can't undo damage. Time can't be returned. But it's something. It's acknowledgement that what happened was wrong, that it mattered, that they mattered. Sometimes that's enough. I want you to know something. Whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're going through, you're not invisible. You never were. The people who look through you, who treat you like you don't matter, who think you're less than them because of what you do or where you are in life, they're wrong. You matter. Your voice matters. What you know matters. What you see matters. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. And yeah, speaking up is scary. Yeah, there might be consequences. Yeah, you might lose things you don't want to lose. But staying quiet has consequences too. And those consequences last longer. I know because I tried it both ways. I stayed quiet at Davidson Partners, and it destroyed me. I spoke up with Drexel, and it saved me. Not my career, not my bank account. Those are just details. It saved the part of me that matters, the part that knows right from wrong and has the courage to say it out loud. That's worth everything. If you're watching this and you're in a situation where you know something's wrong, where you see something that shouldn't be happening, where someone's being hurt and you have information that could help, I want you to know you have a choice. You can stay quiet. Nobody will blame you. It's safer. It's easier. It's understandable. Or you can speak up. It won't be easy. There will be costs. There will be people who question you, who attack you, who try to make you regret it. But there will also be people who believe you, who support you, who thank you for the courage they didn't. And years from now, when you look back, you won't wonder what if. You won't carry the weight of silence. You won't have to live with knowing you could have made a difference and chose not to. You'll know you did what you could, that you stood up when it mattered, that you refused to be invisible just because it was convenient for someone else. That's a legacy worth having. I'm not saying I'm a hero. I'm not. I'm just a guy who drove Uber and heard something he couldn't unhear, who had skills that happened to matter in that moment, who made a choice that scared him but felt necessary. That's all any of us can do. Make choices that align with who we want to be, stand up when we're able, help when we can. The rest is just details. Before you go, I need to ask you something. If this story meant something to you, if it resonated with you, if you've ever felt invisible or wondered if your voice mattered, do me a favor.
Leave a comment. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me your story if you want to share it. Tell me about a time you spoke up or a time you wish you had. Because we're all in this together. All of us trying to do the right thing in a world that doesn't always make it easy. All of us figuring out where the line is between protecting ourselves and standing up for what matters. And sometimes just knowing someone else understands, someone else has been there, that makes all the difference. Hit that like button if this story moved you. Share it with someone who needs to hear it, someone who's going through something, someone who feels invisible. Because the more people who understand that their voices matter, the harder it gets for people like Drexel to operate. The more people who refuse to stay silent, the less power silence has. That's how change happens. Not through grand gestures, not through perfect people doing perfect things, but through regular people making hard choices, through invisible people refusing to stay invisible, through quiet voices getting loud when it matters. My name is Kellen. I used to be an analyst, then I was a driver. Now I'm someone who helps other people find their voice. And I'm telling you, wherever you are in your journey, whatever you're facing, you have more power than you think. You're not just furniture. You're not just a driver or a server or a clerk or a cleaner. You're a person with knowledge, with skills, with perspective that matters.
Don't let anyone make you forget that. Don't let anyone convince you that staying quiet is safer. Don't let fear steal your voice, because the world needs people who speak up, who see wrong and call it out, who refuse to look away just because it's easier. The world needs you, the real you, the one who knows things and sees things and has the courage to say something about it. That's the person I became that night, when I stopped hiding, when I stopped pretending I didn't understand, when I stopped being invisible. And I'm not going back. I hope you won't either. Thanks for listening to my story. Thanks for making it all the way to the end. Thanks for caring enough to spend this time with me. Remember, you're not invisible. You're just waiting for the right moment to speak. Make sure you're ready when it comes. And if you're in that moment right now, if you're facing a choice between silence and speaking up, between safety and truth, between hiding and standing, I'll tell you what I wish someone had told me. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna cost you something. People will question you, doubt you, try to make you regret it. But years from now, you'll look back and you'll know you did what you could, that you stood when others sat, that you spoke when others stayed silent. And that will matter more than you can imagine. You've got this. You're stronger than you think. Your voice is more powerful than you know. Use it. The world is waiting.